Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with the next review of the Fangoria challenge. This time, Jason and I watched The Exorcist 3. The Exorcist 3 is a 1990 horror film written and directed by William Peter Blatty, and according to Fangoria, it's one of the 101 best horror movies you've never seen. William Peter Blatty, of course, wrote the original Exorcist as well. The Exorcist 3, however, was based on his novel Legion. In fact, William Peter Blatty originally intended this movie to be titled that as well. But of course, the studio demanded that The Exorcist 3 be in the title for marketing purposes. Blatty was not a fan of The Exorcist 2, with which he had no involvement, so he was afraid by calling this The Exorcist 3, it would be associated with that box office bomb. He was right, too, because people just assumed The Exorcist 3 followed The Exorcist 2, and many did not see it because of that. What a shame, too, because I honestly mean this. The Exorcist 3 is one of the greatest horror sequels ever made. It may even be the most underrated film in this entire book. When the studio wouldn't budge on the title, Blatty even offered to call it Exorcist 1990, again to remove that stigma of following The Exorcist 2. Nope, the studio would not have it. It needed to be called The Exorcist 3. And the title isn't the only thing they meddled with. They meddled with the actual movie, too. A lot of footage had to be reshot, making this a looser adaptation of Blatty's novel Legion than he originally intended. The Exorcist 3 ultimately became a direct sequel to The Exorcist. Even with the rewrites and reshoots, this film is phenomenal. George C. Scott plays Lieutenant William Kinderman, taking over the role from Lee J. Cobb in the original Exorcist. Ed Flanders plays Father Joseph Dyer, taking over the role from William O'Malley in the original. Every year, on the anniversary of their mutual friend Father Damien Karras' death, the two meet up and see It's a Wonderful Life. Father Karras, as I'm sure you know, was the priest who was killed at the end of the original film. The funny thing is, when they meet up, Kinderman believes he is cheering up Father Dyer, and Father Dyer thinks he is cheering up Kinderman. It turns out they really both need each other, and I absolutely love the chemistry between the two. It truly feels like you're watching two old friends. Kinderman, though, is especially distraught this year, because there is a serial killer on the loose in Georgetown. The strange part is, it appears to be the work of the Gemini killer, who died 15 years ago. As Kinderman investigates the murders, he finds that they may actually be connected to the death of Father Karras. Somehow, he ties into this as well, and somehow, the Gemini killer lives. I think I'll leave it at that when it comes to the synopsis. The Exorcist 3, as you can probably figure out based on that, is basically a religious horror slasher film. The victims are beheaded, and their blood is drained clean from their bodies. The Gemini killer is obviously influenced by the real-life Zodiac killer. George C. Scott is phenomenal as always as Lieutenant Kinderman. Like I said, I love the dynamic between his character and Father Dyer's. Brad Dourif also stars, and his performance is also incredible. There is genuine humor in the movie that never diminishes the scares. And believe me, The Exorcist 3 is a scary movie. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, it features the greatest jump scare scene in the history of cinema. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The Georgetown setting is shot beautifully. The night scenes are filled with mist. The creepy hospital setting is atmospheric. And the religious visuals are creepy, sometimes terrifying. I'll say it again. The Exorcist 3 is one of the greatest horror sequels ever made, and it's probably the most underrated movie on this Fangoria list. We don't have to go far for my relatable recommendation, because it's right here on this Scream Factory Collector's Edition. Legion, The Exorcist 3, which is the director's cut. That cut of the film is included on this 2-disc set, on disc 2, and that version contains the original footage shot by William Peter Blatty. And by the way, can I just mention how awesome this newly commissioned artwork is by Scream Factory? Normally, I wouldn't just recommend a different cut of a film, but in this case, it's almost an entirely different movie. It even has its own separate listing on IMDb, which usually never happens. I actually prefer the director's cut of the film, and Legion, The Exorcist 3 is the way William Peter Blatty intended audiences to see it. Do yourselves a favor if you haven't already, and get yourselves a copy of this Scream Factory Collector's Edition to have both versions of The Exorcist 3. Oh, and one more thing. As shocking as this might sound, I prefer The Exorcist 3 over The Exorcist. Have you seen it? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. And please be sure to check out Jason's review. What will we watch next for the Fangoria Challenge? Check back soon to find out. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.